With it being 2 o'clock, let's go ahead and call the meeting of the City Design Review Board to order. We all received our minutes from our prior meeting from July 13th by email and in our packet. Does anyone have any questions, amendments, or a motion?
Wish to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Our first case for a public hearing today is case DRB 2022-30, request for a certificate of appropriateness to enlarge the house located at 504 Graham Street, tax map number 90075-07-014, located in the D4 Timrod Overlay District. Staff?
Good afternoon. The applicant owns the house located at 504 Graham Street, which is between Chestnut and Cedar Street. And this is a close-up of it. It is zoned NC 6.2, which is a single family and allows duplexes. So single family detached houses and duplexes are permitted in this zoning designation. The applicant wishes to raise the attic on this upper floor and turn that into a small apartment in order to rent that out as a second unit. The house or the lot does meet the requirements for an over-under duplex, which requires at least a minimum 8,000 square foot lot and an 80-foot street width. And it just meets those requirements. So he is just requesting to be able to renovate the house, and he'll be doing some extensive exterior renovations to it as well as interior. And so here's the elevations that are existing for the front and the rear, and then compared to the proposed front and rear. He's going to be relocating the front door to the center of the house and putting cementitious shakes on the front and the rear of the house. Wants to paint the existing brickwork white, and we'll be adding a stairwell on the outside for access to that upper attic apartment. These are the side and the right and left side elevations showing, again, the stairwell that'll be added and the way the roof line will be lifted up slightly to accommodate the renovations to the attic. The brickwork will be whitewashed, similar to what's on that upper right photo, and then the cedar shakes, the shingle siding will be similar to that in the lower photo. So these are some photos of what the house looks like right now, and that building in the lower right is a detached kind of a garage building that's also on site. And I believe he's planning to clean that up as well. So, and the applicant is here if you have any questions for him. So the design guidelines, the basic form and character of the house will be preserved. The windows and doors are being replaced with new ones. Some of the locations will be different than they are in the original house, but the screen porch in the front will be removed and windows replacing that. And the distinctive features, the overall character of the 1943 architecture will be preserved, but they will be new materials that are designed to mimic traditional materials. And the replacement items are not historical, but do complement the character of the house. And the aluminum and vinyl siding are not being proposed here. It'll be the whitewashed brick and the shake shingle fiber cement siding. And we're not sure how many of the doors and windows or awnings that are being removed are original to the house, but they will be replaced with new windows and doors. And the upper floor will be raised, and those new doors and windows provided for there as well. Houses on either side of this are two-storied, so this house will not be any taller than anything around it. And the front yard landscaping will be cleaned up. No additional landscaping has been proposed at this time, but an improved parking area will be provided in the rear behind the house. The roof style will be the same, and the colors and materials will be similar to other houses in the area and characteristic of houses in this era. So that concludes staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff? Okay. The applicant have anything they want to comment? Okay. Anyone have any questions of the applicant? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and,
I'd like,
okay, sure. Approach the podium and state your name, please.
I'm Winfield Brown. I'm the president of the Timberline Park Neighborhood Association. And Mr. Thomas, we appreciate what you're doing. Just want you to know that the design that was presented, it makes that house look so much better. So we appreciate you're doing that. The question that was asked was what type of parking surface is going to be in the back, and also that outbuilding. At this point, there's not going to be anything done with it, just kind of clean it up.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Sure.
I mean,
Originally,
Say who you want. You can say what you please, yes.
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
The carriage house, which is that outer building, the original proposal was to renovate both buildings at the same time. And the intent was, it's already a two-story apartment, two-bedroom apartment above the garage. So we were gonna restore it and then restore where the garage is keep one side of the garage and then convert the other side to efficiency. Because what we're trying to accomplish is for traveling nurses to have short-term rental. But the ordinance is going to allow us to utilize the carriage house and as a rental. So we don't want to leave that property like it is. So our intention is to improve both properties on the lot at the same time.
Okay. And do you have a question about what the back?
it was brought up in the meeting about what was the parking area. Was it going to be paved or gravel?
Yes, it'll be asphalt.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Could I ask staff something?
Yes, go ahead, Joel.
So the ordinance does not allow for carriage apartments to be rented out separately?
That would be considered an accessory dwelling unit, and detached accessory dwelling units are not permitted.
Okay,
No, not at this time.
not at this time.
Right.
Okay. I was blue, a lot of towns, you go to Charleston, you rent a carriage house, and I was kind of wondering why, and that has nothing to do, but I kind of wonder why we're a little behind the times on that.
Well, we've made an attempt, planning staff has made an attempt to get that passed, and
Okay.
it failed. So,
All
when the time is right, or if there's community push, or if individuals talk to council, and we're encouraged to bring that back, we'd be glad to.
Okay, just a question.
Yep.
Do you, just a follow-up question, do you know why that's kind of sort of, an issue? I'm just out of curiosity as well.
Sure. I think, there's a number of existing ones around town that are, grandfathered in
Right.
and allowed to exist. But new ones and/or ones that have fallen into disrepair are can't be used, and we don't have new ones that can come online. But the concern was, I think, just the rental properties and turning single-family neighborhoods into multi-family, type rental units.
Gotcha.
Where you have, in this case, it would have been 3 or 4 rental units on one property.
Gotcha.
One of our remedies for that was to potentially tie it to primary residence. So you would only be allowed an accessory dwelling unit if that was your primary residence, which is a 4% property. But at that time, that same, properties are passed down through generations and/or sold, and it becomes hard to track that.
Gotcha.
So those were some of the concerns.
Okay. Makes sense.
I would just say, I'd point out, this is my first year on this council, and it seems a large percentage of these are in the historic area, which they really district, and I don't know that people are going to put money into fixing them up just as a place to park their car. So I think the real opportunity here to remedy a lot of these eyesores is to figure out a way to let those turn into rental properties without it becoming 12 families on the same lot that can have its own issues, which I'm sure the original intent was to prevent from happening. But I used to live in the historic district, and just walking around those neighborhoods, I mean, those are the buildings that are the eyesores, and I think this is something the city should really discuss, because that might be the opportunity to get them fixed up and get people to invest in them.
I would agree. And I know what you're trying to do is there's a real need for that in Florence, for places where people who are working can stay during the week. And I'm in that business and provide that. And we can't provide enough of it, so there's a true need for it. And yours is my 2 cents.
Yeah, we're going to look into it further, absolutely.
Okay, we have closed the public hearing now. We'll open it up for discussion or a motion.
A motion we approve is submitted.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. A certificate will be issued. Thank you for improving the property. I think it's going to be beautiful after it's done.
Thank you.
Our second hearing today is case DRB 2022-31. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the house located at 721 South Dargan Street, tax map number 90089-02-007, located in the D1 Redevelopment Overlay District. Staff?
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So this single-family home is on South Dargan Street, almost to Cherokee Road and East National Cemetery Road. There's the location map. It is kind of on its lonesome here in this vicinity with the other houses already being demoed adjacent to it. The zoning map is currently zoned campus and is intended for suburban campus settings, general professional medical offices, hospitals, public assembly, churches, things of that nature. So here is a picture of the house. It was built in 1930 and has approximately 1,000 square feet. Historical Commission met Monday and decided that it had no historical significance and could be approved for demolition. As far as the design guidelines, this will just be a complete demolition of the home, and the applicant will have to come back and stabilize any dirt to prevent stormwater issues. So that does conclude staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff? Anyone here to speak on the matter?
It's not going to be a Buc-ee's, is it?
Other things, just more grass to
Since it's not going to be Buc-ee's too, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or motion.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Certificate will be issued. Our third and final case today is case DRB 2022-32, review of proposed amendments to the design guidelines for downtown Florence, South Carolina. Staff?
All right, as you recall, last month we had a pretty lively discussion about some changes that need to be made to the design guidelines. And barring a complete rewrite of the guidelines, we went back and took your main concerns and looked at the way the guidelines are worded right now and looked at some kind of, at least short term until we rewrite the whole thing, ways to address those concerns that y'all expressed. One of them was about the fees, the application fees. The Design Review Board fee of $100 was established back in 2008 and has not been adjusted since. And when we do administrative COAs, we don't charge anything. And so we've propose, based on what you have said, based on our experience as staff, and all these suggestions, you're not really voting on any of these today. These are just what we're suggesting and reply to what you suggested. And so you can think about it and then make any corrections, any adjustments to them, and then we can write them into amendment form and bring that back next time for an official vote. So these are kind of informational only. But we were proposing possibly changing the fee for an administrative COA to $25, which is what we charge for any other basic zoning permit. And the application for those who haven't done the work yet, keep that at $100, but to discourage people, as a main complaint was that people would do the work and then come back and come to y'all and ask for forgiveness later. So to discourage that, we're proposing doubling the fee, kind of like the building department does. When people do work without a building permit, the fees are doubled. So we were considering doing the same and requiring them to come to you if they've already done it without the COA, but charging them $200 for that. And again, that's just to encourage people to follow the guidelines, to check with us first, and then kind of be punitive for those who go ahead and do it without consideration of where they are, what they need to do. The second one was for administrative COA costs, and right now, again, from 2008 or even before, projects that were less than $5,000, if the material and colors and everything were identical, we could approve them. A lot of them are things like roofs, largely roofs, where people are taking a black shingle roof and replacing it with a black shingle roof. We would like to have a little more flexibility and make the amount, the limit, a little more realistic. So this $15,000 was suggested. The storefront security, which was a big one. Right now, it is only specified in the H1 district that roll-down solid or mesh window and door covers are not allowed in the Florence Historic District. And then our proposal was just to expand the scope of that section to include any historic district. Because we, as you remember, we had the security question in the D3, and we didn't have anything beyond just the basic Unified Development Ordinance to enforce that. So if we could include that, the roll-down solid or mesh window and door covers, and maybe tweak that as well, because it does say decorative security grills are being allowed. So if you wanted to tweak that any further, this would be the time to do it. And then signage. We generally, if a sign is not dimensional, we require them to come before you. And we just didn't know if you wanted to adjust that at all. That's the main thing that we get from people, is that they're going to have a flat sign, and we've permitted plenty of those, so we just didn't know if it was time to change that requirement or if you wanted to keep that in. So those are the 4 things that we wanted you to look at and consider and see what you wanted to do about them. So that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of staff?
If we make the changes, are they the changes, or do they have to go before council?
They would have to go to the Planning Commission and then City Council.
But, we could have any discussion today about it, and that could lead staff to tweaking these recommendations, or we could go ahead and get these into more of an official amendment, official language to amend the code. Or if anyone has, we could always tweak them, and then we'll get them before the board to make a motion to carry forward to Planning Commission, and we could tweak them at that time too, going forward to Planning Commission, based on how the motion was made.
How do we get the information? Because a lot of people just don't know, and they start when they find out.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to do anything. They just don't understand it, because they're in control of the parks. They can just do it if they need to.
That's right.
And so how do we? What's our strategy?
Well, we can definitely create a little campaign, a little information campaign, where we can push it out through social media, through the city manager's office. In the past, we have mailed out postcards especially Timrod Park neighborhood. We've done mailers.
Put some in the water bill, something like that.
We've done that in the past as well. Put things in the water bill. To be honest, those don't get read too often.
Right, little
messages, but we do utilize that, yes, on occasion, and it could definitely be part of kind of a blanketing strategy to do that, because that's obviously cheap for us to do since it goes out anyway. But we can also talk to our marketing folks upstairs and see if they've got some ideas for us to push some of that out.
And the $25 for the administrative permit, having just gotten one, not having to pay anything, where does that where did that come from? We felt like we needed the $25 to review something.
It's our standard zoning fee, so it
Okay.
would just be, if you came in for a new business or to put an addition on your garage, there's a standard $25 fee for all zoning applications, and that would just bring that on par with the other. But that's at the discretion of the board, is what they want to recommend.
I would think we should put a monetary, if it's under $5,000. I mean, I hate to see it anyway, but I mean, if it's under $5,000, if she's going to do some maintenance, we want to encourage people to do that. We don't want to. So I'd like to see something like that. Like if it's under $5,000 or $10,000, you wouldn't have to pay it, because you don't have to get a fee to do it in other places.
That's right.
I understand.
That's right. If you were just painting, you absolutely would not be required.
And I think some of them, like if you have an oak tree that gets struck by lightning or something, and you obviously need to remove it. I mean, I feel like sometimes you're just adding salt to the wound that you have to come before the committee and pay $100. So I think it actually, the burden to the city, our discussion the last meeting or the one before, is when things are done, it's brought to our attention after the fact, and then we have to make a ruling trying to empathize with the parties involved, knowing that the work's already been done, money's been put into it. I think you can justify a lot more the $200 or even more than that if you want, if it comes to us after the fact by saying, hey, if you come to us up front, propose it, let us review it, we're not going to charge you a thing. We're here to help you. Right. We're here to make sure you get it right for the city. Mm-hmm. But if you don't do it the right way, there's going to be a bigger fee because it's more of a hardship for us to figure it out. So I definitely support waiving the fees unless it's how they're paying y'all. I don't want to come out of y'all's face.
We're good. It's not, to be honest, it's not like it's going to make us a ton of money.
Right.
So it was just trying to normalize things. So this staff doesn't really care either way.
And I think if anything, someone just residentially, they might be more willing to try to stay under the radar to save $100 than they would if there was no fee but a larger fee on the backside.
Well, I might make a suggestion. If it's a casualty, maybe there should be no fee. If you have a fire, or if you set up or if a tree,
right?
And I think if you have a casualty, you're fixing something, there probably shouldn't be a fee after the fact either. I'm just trying to, let's don't put salt in the.
That's right.
So maybe we could add something like that.
But most people are trying to make Florence a better place. They're trying to improve things, and I think that's the real value, not the $100.
Right.
And I have a comment just in regards to security grills. I mean, this is just my personal take on it, and everybody can chime in if necessary. But I think given where we are this present day and time in our downtown and all of the development that has happened over the last 10 years, as well as the police presence and cameras, etc. I don't personally think that security grills moving forward are necessary, and I think that they do kind of sort of add an element of somewhat of an eyesore potentially. I know there's that word decorative, but on there, but still, I think that when you're in any city and you see a lot of security grills, you immediately think, oh, this must be a crime-infested area. So I think moving forward, personally, I think we should do away with them.
So y'all will bring that forward to the zoning commission?
Absolutely. We'll, if you're comfortable with us proceeding with these concepts, we'd be glad to write these up into kind of a code amendment form to show you how they would be inserted into the guidelines, and you guys can vote on them next month. We'll discuss them or change them or whatever is the board's will.
And if, you know, you think of something, just email it to me and we'll incorporate it in there as well.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Since there's no other cases, I'll have a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 14th at 2 p.m. Thanks for y'all's service, guys.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll do better next month.
Sorry, I said the record.